Hey guys, how's it going? First show of 2019. I'm back. Whee! Had a week and a half off or so for Christmas and New Year's, which obviously left a backlog of interviews and things. So had a bit of catching up to do, but it's great to spend a bit of time with my family. And what a great show we've got lined up for you as well for the first interview of the year. I'm speaking to Ronald D. Morgan, who's a great guy, a really inspiring guy. My wife was actually taught by him travel and tourism years ago, obviously, and she noticed that he'd had a book out, and she got in touch with me. I got in touch with him, and within 2 weeks of us chatting, less than that, we had him signed up to do a show, and I'm really grateful for that because it was a really good show too. I think you'll appreciate the interview you're about to listen to. And in the meantime, while I've been kind of having a break, I've been trying to stay away from the podcast. You got to kind of keep your mind fresh, but I've been beavering away at kind of new logos and designs and things for the show because I found the design that I had for the original logo was very rushed. I put so much effort into the content for the show, but the logo kind of came secondary, and that's kind of silly, really, because it's our identity, and I wanted something a bit more mature. So the new logos are up and running now. I think you'll appreciate them, and they look really good on pictures that people kind of send in for the. As you noticed, every episode's got its own little backdrop, its own little like title cover. So if you send in a picture, you can send it into our email, which is shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com, or you can just fire up Facebook and send it me in my inbox, and I'll get it from there. But if you want to be part of the show, then definitely send us a picture. Also, as well, I always try and encourage people to send in messages and any events or any things you got lined up. Like, for example, I've spoke to Jill Bennett from SLAP, 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 which is the Shrewsbury Litter Action Project. I spoke to her yesterday. Great person. They started off this great project where they go around street by street, cleaning up litter from around Shrewsbury. It's a big problem, obviously, and they do what they can to make the town look a lot better. And they've got a Facebook page there. You can find it. I encourage people to go and look at it because they organise meets. They meet up. And they go on huge litter picks and clear up what they can. In fact, they've got one on the 19th of January, actually, just looking on their Facebook page. Everybody's meeting at the front of Matalan at 2 p.m. for a litter pick of York Road area. So if you want to go and help out, volunteer, kind of, do your bit for the town, go home and feel great about yourself, then turn up at Matalan 2 o'clock. There'll be a group of people there. Bring your own litter pickers if you can. I think they have got a small selection of litter pickers and things, but if you do have something that you can bring, that'd be great. Get involved with these people because they do great things. Well done, Jill, for this. And I saw, obviously, there's a guy called Daniel Roberts. He's got a canoe. But he does the rivers. He has the maritime duty. He does a great job too. He's got like pictures of his boat pulled up on the side of all the litter he's pulled out the river. So these guys do a great job. So if you want your kind of messages read out like this on the show, just to try and raise a bit of awareness, just fire them in to me, and I'll get them read out. Good luck, Jill. I hope to join you at some point. I think it's a great project, and good luck to it. Anyway, guys, on with the interview. This is a great interview. I really enjoyed it. Ron is a great guy, and he's so happy about what we're doing with the show. Really encouraged me to kind of push forward with it, and he's even offered to help out in the future with little bits we're going to do as well. I've got an idea for a feature that I want to bring to the show, and I think Ron or somebody that's a tour guide can definitely help me with that. So on with the show, and thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoy it. Hey, have you ever wondered what makes Shrewsbury such a great town? I think about it all the time. That's why I decided to create the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast, a place where we can sit and talk to people from all walks of life, listen to stories about what makes this town such a great place to live. We're going to be talking to authors and historians, artists and musicians, entrepreneurs, and people that have got great stories to tell about this town. Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. So, Ron, thank you very much for joining me on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. It's a real honour. Not only is it a great honour to have a great writer and creator, but you've had a lot to do with Shrewsbury. I was looking at the readout from Amazon, as well as what my wife was telling me about. She used to teach travel and tourism.
Indeed.
And what's the green badge that the green.
It's basically a tour guide award that you have to achieve really to guide in, usually in towns.
Yeah.
The green badge is there, and if you get the blue badge, you can do it pretty well nationwide, as it were. And many people, we've had some fabulous blue badge guides and have got some in the town now, but most try to attain green badge. You can guide without that.
Yeah.
But you still have to, have some sort of education on the town and the tours.
Oh, of course, you can't be like, this building over here is used to be a spa. Now it's you got to know the history. Yeah.
And also, I think guiding it's not just all facts and figures. I always like to think of it's anecdotal too. I think people love to hear the anecdotes rather than the actual facts and figures sometimes.
I was walking back it was actually my interview at the Arc, and I was walking and there was a guy with a big top hat on. And he was by Mary South Water Lane, and he was doing a tour guide, and everybody just looked so like enthralled in what was going on. It was amazing. I had to walk around them. I didn't want to disturb what they were looking at, but they looked just so amazed at what they were seeing. It's
great when folks do get in costume as well. I mean, obviously around Halloween in particular, many do as well. But others do it for the likes of the Christmas Carol tours and Darwin tours and what have you as well.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you. Like I said, thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure. So
you are Ronald D. Morgan, and I brought you on here because my wife, she says to me, "Oh, you're always looking for people." My old travel and tourism teacher from travel and tourism, has released a book. And she showed me the book. I was like, "Wow, I need to get this guy on the show." The audience are starting to get used to the fact that I love talking to creators and people with a creative mind. So thank you very much. At short notice as well. It was only like a week ago I spoke to you.
Yeah, no worries.
So tell us a bit about yourself. Like, are you from Shrewsbury originally? Did you grow up here?
Indeed, I am Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury, depending which way you want to go. Born and bred. I love the town. I've lived and worked away in the States and Canada and various other places, but I think, like a lot of people, you're polarized back to this place.
Yeah.
It really is a wonderful place to live.
I love this place. I'm not from Shrewsbury originally. I kind of grown up here, there, and everywhere. Kind of North Wales and around Midlands and stuff. I moved here last August, and the reason why I did this show is because I fell so hard in love with the place. I really wanted to just find out why. What is it that's drawing me here and everyone else? So that's nice to hear.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, for sure.
Thank you. What was it like living in the States? And then did you miss the place when you were over there?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, again, it was one of those things where I used to I've mostly worked in travel all my life. That's my background.
Yeah.
Running travel companies, running tour companies, being a tour manager and what have you. And I'd actually been to take the very first travel and tourism course ever in the United Kingdom, which was in 1977.
Wow.
There was one in St Austell, which is where I took it, in Cornwall, and there was one in Bournemouth, and I chose St Austell. And the reason I'm telling you that is, following that, I wrote, or created, should I say, an itinerary, or it was a project called the Great North American Experience, and I entered it in the competition, which was nationwide, and it came third. But that's sort of an irrelevance to it, really. I used that as the template to go to the States. I thought, I'll put it into practice. So with a group of friends, I went to the States. And in fact, I was on one of the first flights ever by Freddie Laker, who was really the forerunner of all the cheap flights today, and it was originally it was going to be supposedly no food or on the plane, but he did sort of feed us on the plane going over. So we went over in 1977, and what a time we had.
Yeah.
We just stayed over there till the money ran out.
Fantastic.
And I fell in love with it. So then, and I'd met various folks at the time. So I went back and lived there in the end of the 70s.
Whereabouts in the States were you?
We lived in North Carolina.
Oh, right, okay.
And I was back and forth there. I lived in Ottawa in Canada. Went to work up in
Carolina. My wife, she lived there for a bit.
Yeah, there you go. So, and it's a super place. Ottawa is, albeit a government city, if you like. But I polarized back to North Carolina. Went back and forth. I came back and worked here a while. Then went back there with my then wife and first son, Peter. And we went back and moved. Worked there, and it was fortuitous, really. On one of the times I was reconfirming a flight, the lady said to me, if you ever want a job, pop and see me. And so when I went back the second time, I said, you mentioned this to me, Gene. How about, is there any job going? Anyway, long story short, I became the manager of that company and enjoyed the time there.
Wow.
And it was a lovely experience. And you learned a lot about American life and culture, which... And also the fact that we're definitely, as I think it was Oscar Wilde said, we're two countries divided by a common language.
Absolutely. I mean, I've got a lot of American friends that work with the shows that I work with, and one of the most recent kind of arguments I had with one of my co-hosts from my other show was, he goes, "I'm going to go and get some tea." And I was like, "Okay." I was expecting to wait a good 5-10 minutes. He comes back with this bottle, shaking it, and he's like, "This is iced tea." And I was like, "No." If you say you're going to go for a cup of tea, you've put the kettle on. And he's like, no, iced tea, always iced tea. And then,
oh, you can get yourself in trouble in different countries. With translations, you think of, if you're trying to speak German or Spanish or whatever. But I didn't realize how much trouble I could get myself in the States even as well. But just minor. There were some things I won't mention on here, but things like I'd say to a client over the telephone, I say, okay, I'll pop your tickets in the post. That meant absolutely nothing to them. They thought that was some weird thing from this British-speaking guy, and I should have just said, as I realised straight away, was, I'll mail it to you. Yeah.
I mean, my little boy, he watches a lot of YouTube. He loves his tablet. He doesn't overdo it, but he watches a show called Ryan's Toy Review. It's like a huge it's a little kid that plays with toys.
Sure.
And he watches it a lot. And I was in a shop the other day. It was around Christmas actually. He was like, "Dad, I want to go and buy some candy." I was like, "Son, there's no candy in this store. We can give some sweets if you like." Yeah, so I can see how that can affect you.
But even now, Americanisms have slipped into my language. When you've lived there on and off for a few years, you can't help it.
But what I will say about America is they are obsessed with our traditions and our history.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the exact reason why. Another one of the reasons why I want to do this show. From another show I worked on, I went and did an episode at the Dana. I went and stayed there overnight, took my equipment and sat and recorded. And a lot of my American audience was like, "Oh my God, I'd love to go to Shrewsbury just to see the prison." And I was just like, "Wow, if we could reach people." I mean, we have got listeners in America and Canada. If we could reach people there and entice them to come spend some time in Shrewsbury, what a great way to do it,
Absolutely. Well, they love all our history, but a medieval market town like Shrewsbury, fantastic, isn't it?
And then with the added aspect of Darwin, and it's beautiful here as well. So you did travel and tourism. How long did you do that for? But also you were in America. And then you came back. Did you go straight into
straight back into travel? Because I left when I left school. I didn't even tell my parents I'd left school. I actually went and decided I wanted to get a job, and I went to the local youth employment exchange. And very, very long story short, I got offered a job in a travel agent and took it. And I'd been working a week before my parents found out that I wasn't going to school. So that's how I started, way back at the beginning of the 70s, end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s. And from then I sort of worked and really I kept on taking tours or running tours for 44 years.
Yeah. Oh, that's really, really, really good. How long were you teaching for then?
I actually started almost by accident again, because this is before the time when people insist, or the government or education authority insisted on getting all the qualifications of PGCE. I was what they called a vocational lecturer. In other words, I'd come from a certain industry, in my case, travel.
You had enough knowledge just to get on with it.
Yeah. And whilst the guys who got all the academic qualifications and were good teachers, they didn't perhaps have the background. They took everything from a textbook, perhaps, factor, which is great. They did a good job. But I brought real life experience to it.
Yeah, and that's a lot more.
So I was perhaps lacking on the teaching skill side, but strong on the industry side, and the vice versa for the teachers there. But then it came to actually, I took my PGCE exams quite late because the government insisted on it in about 2004, 2005, something like that, and so I got my PGCE then.
Wow, that's really good though. It's good that you managed to get along for so long. Just with your history and your knowledge of what you've done from traveling, that's really, really inspiring. How did the book happen? What happened there?
Well, for years, I think when we've spoken before, I think all of us have got a book in us.
Yeah.
You've got some idea or something you want to put down or whatever, and I would say to anybody, don't be frightened about it. Put it down, write it. You know. If nothing else, it'll get something out of your system. And that's sort of how it came about. But I was really galvanized to do it because I was diagnosed with palliative care only cancer about in 2015. And at that stage, I thought to myself, you're going through the operations and chemotherapy and various things. And I think to myself, I've always wanted to write this book. Who knows how long I've got to write it?
Yeah,
I'll start. So that was really... so
you could leave your mark and leave something.
Well, at least leave something or get something out of my system, as it were. I mean, I've been blessed that 3.5 years on, I'm still kicking, as it were. And
that's fantastic. Every day's a gift.
Yeah, exactly, and it's fantastic. I love it, and in fact, I've got so many other projects on the go, literary and otherwise. It's good. You certainly live life to the full when you're told something like that.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm really sorry to hear that, but I mean. It's like you said, it's got your mind going, it's got your cognitive process kind of buzzing about. So how long ago did you come up with the concept for this this book?
Well, strangely, the initial concept wasn't this one. And this is the funny thing I found about writing is you start going down one lane, one road, and all of a sudden you branch off.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting experience, and I loved it. And so I've always been interested in the Second World War and that sort of era. The 30s up to the 40s and then into the 50s. I mean, I was born in the early part of the 50s, so that tells you a story.
There's still a lot of that good knocking about.
Yeah, I mean, dare I say it, there were still rationing books around when I was born, and with that in mind, you can't help but feel the austerity that came out of the Second World War, yet the relief that came out of the Second World War as well.
Yeah.
So I suppose that influenced me and things that my mother and father told me and grandparents told me.
And it's from amazing stories. Like, I mean, some of the stories that you can hear, like of bravery and battle, and like in your book of absolute survival and survival in some of the parts of your book, like with the camps in that they were moved, the ladies were moved to. Where did you research these stories, or did these?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you spend a long time researching, and if anything, that's probably a strength of mine. I love doing the research and the analysis, and it's when you have to put it down on paper the tricky stuff comes, because you've got to develop essentially a fictional story that's based on fact.
Yeah.
So I've tried to be obviously as close to the truth with everything that I've told, but the characters are fictional.
Oh, that's amazing, because I got one of my questions down here was is this completely fictional? Because it's quite believable. It was very believable. It was brilliant how you did that, because I was thinking, well, maybe he's based this on sort of past experiences, but kind of made a few bits up. But I didn't know, and that's really good.
No, you tend to, as I say, you research, you read a lot, and what have you. But I also interviewed ex-POWs.
Oh, right, okay, that's really cool.
And bear in mind, these folks now were in their 80s and 90s, and some of the tales they told me were very harrowing. And also, I think, going back, I think one of the triggers for me in my subconscious was my Uncle Harry was a POW as well. And he was a big guy, but he was very quiet and never really told you much. And my auntie always used to say to me, he doesn't like to talk much about the war. And we hear this all the time. So I picked up stories from other people. But interviewing the POWs for the book was... I had me in tears sometimes, I have to tell you.
Yeah, we interviewed Simon Bell, was on my first episode, and a lot of his works were from Auschwitz and POW kind of. He was saying that there's a great responsibility to try and relay these messages over and over again until people kind of learn their lesson, because it's kind of something that always kind of repeats itself, this rhetoric of hate and things like that. So I think you did that brilliantly in the book. I mean, I am 25% way for the book. I'm going to carry on reading it. I'm really enjoying it. What were you like as a youngster? When growing up, what were you like?
It was all about sport for me, really.
Yeah?
I loved my sport, whatever it was. I wouldn't say I was particularly brilliant at anything, but I was, I loved my football and cricket and whatever it was. And when we moved to the States, of course, obviously I was older then, but you got into basketball and, American football and all their sports as well, and ice hockey and all that stuff.
I upset a bunch of Americans this week, actually. I started talking to these... They're like a sports company in America called SEVERN Sports. And I was talking to the owner of that, and I was saying to him, I don't like calling it American football. I'll call it American hand egg. Because, number one, we've got the football because we prominently use our feet. It's an egg. And you use your hand, so it's American hand egg. And he was like, if you're going to be part of this group, you can't say that. I was like, okay.
I can understand that.
So you grew up in Shrewsbury then, yeah?
Indeed, I did. Yeah, I went to the Wakeman School as a grammar school. At the time, it was a grammar school anyway, and I loved it. I loved all the people I was with, the teachers, and at the end of the day, they really set you on your path, don't they, education wise? And some teachers, because of the subjects, normally are better than others. From how they impact on your life. History, needless to say, my history teacher, Miss Picking, at the time, just left a lasting sort of impression on me.
It's amazing how certain teachers can do that. I had a teacher called Mr. Fletcher, who was a great geography teacher, and he did that for me as well. So it's amazing how you can pick one teacher out there that can kind of inspire you.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, lots were very helpful and very formative as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
But Miss Picking, she just had a different way of teaching, really. She used this book called 1066 and all that, which basically was quite a relaxed way of looking at history.
You mentioned that in the book, didn't you?
Yeah. That's right, yeah. And it engages you, and once you're engaged, people learn.
But it's like you said earlier, sometimes it's more about the knowledge and knowing how people tick and how you can kind of inspire rather than, it's not always out of a textbook. It's kind of your mannerisms and how you speak to people and inspire and, and that's really important.
No, that's exactly right. So education obviously is important, but then I came straight out to work rather than go to uni. With that in mind, you just crack on. That's where I've spent most of my life in the travel industry. But sport's always been a theme going back to that through my life. I love my football, my cricket. I played at a reasonable level, and running came into it later on in life. I got into in the States. Actually, I got into running. I am writing an autobiography at the moment, and I go into a lot of this in detail.
Fantastic.
Hopefully the anecdotes are amusing and funny. They're not just I did this, I did that. But the running really took off in the States. And then when I came back here, I wanted to run, but I found in the States and Canada in particular, I used to belong to a club called the Sunset Striders. There was nothing like that in the UK when I came back here at the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s rather. So I started a club with a bunch of other friends, myself and my good lady at the time, Wendy, formed the Shropshire Shufflers. And that started in 1981. We were the founder members, along with Keith and Chris Iverson and Steve Wellington. We were the first 5 there. And, God, haven't they taken that club on today? It's a phenomenal club now.
Really? I've never heard of it. Forgive me.
Oh, Shropshire Shufflers, I tell you, those guys are so important in the development. And at the time when I came back, all the clubs were elite. In other words, the very good runners were out there. You never saw anybody on the streets running.
Not running just to keep themselves trim, but more professional.
Exactly.
Kind of,
And ladies, it was a bit trickier for as well. Now, you see loads of groups of them out.
Especially up here on Bellevue, you see them all running up and down. I'll just be driving to work, and then I'll see this cloud of luminous yellow and orange, coming billowing down towards me. It's quite good. It's nice to see.
It's great.
I feel like if I was going to go run, I don't know. sometimes I think I like to just get my head down and get on with it. I used to do a lot of running. I mean, before I put all my timber on, I used to do a lot of running. Sometimes get my head down and get on with it. But sometimes the motivation, inspiration is great to have a team around you. So I can see that. I can see the qualities, absolutely.
Yeah. Because it becomes... obviously, it helps you sort of have a modicum of fitness, but it actually is all about camaraderie. It's the social aspect as much as the fitness.
Yeah, and people egging you on. Come on, you can do it.
Exactly, and you can be. You don't have to be any great ability. It's the old story of you. You can get off the couch and not be a couch potato anymore, to use the Americanism.
Yeah, I was actually. Do you know what? I was driving to work last night, and I was going down Abbey Foregate, and there were some runners there, and there was like there was the group that are kind of jogging together, and then there was these two young lads that were just bombing it down the road, and I was like, I'd be the guys behind there. I would be further back, actually, So
well, the sad thing is now I get to that stage, I am the one further back if I go out at all.
Yeah,
but hey, it doesn't matter. It never has. You
get out there, you get some fresh air, and you get to do something rather than sitting around and not doing a lot. So how? When you decided to write this book, what was the process? Did you think, right, let's get on with this? Did it take you years to pick this up, or it was a very instant kind of,
I think because it was very time sensitive, because of my health condition. I think, right, I'm going to start writing, and I put that first sort of pen to paper, as it were, or finger to keyboard, whichever way you want to look at it. Then really, I slowed up a little bit, thinking I've got to bring some more research and structure to this, because I was a novice. I'd never written a book before in my life, and I have to say, as I allude to in the acknowledgements in the book, I had some great help from a novelist in Australia. The book acknowledgement tells a little bit about that. My autobiography tells more, but it was more about somebody encouraged me to do it. Get down there, write a book. Yeah, I'd done a couple of creative writing classes in the past, as many people do. But to be honest, that was enjoyable without being as instructive as it could be. I did learn some things, I'm sure.
Okay, guys. So just imagine you've dimmed the lights. You're getting ready to get toasty. You're about to light the fire. There's a nice warm feeling inside. You're excited. The fire's about to go on. You look around for kindling. And you've got none. Oh, great. Well done. You forgot to go and buy kindling. Well, do you know what? I've got a solution for you. If you're in the Old Brighton area, if you hail from that area and you listen to my show, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I've got a solution. R&C Kindling. It's a friend of mine, sells kindling. He's doing a great job. I thought I'd give him a shout out on the show. They sell small bags and large bags of kindling. And they got great prices. And if you have a look on their Facebook, you'll see they've got lots of great reviews. So, back to the fire. You listened to Alex on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. You went to get kindling from R&C Kindling. And now, you can relax by the fire. Check them out, guys. Thanks.
But once you start writing, you're off and running. You have to have a discipline. And that's something I learned pretty early, that you've got to decide that you're going to write every day at certain times that suit you and get on with it. No excuses, no matter how you feel, no matter what else is on, you got to do it.
And I told you about I've got a summary for a book upstairs. I found it rolled up in an old folder, actually, in one of the back of my drawers. It was a project I picked up before I started doing the podcasting, and that was the one thing I couldn't manage to do. If there was match of the day on and I really wanted to watch the football, I couldn't sit there and write. And yeah, it takes a lot, I imagine. On the nice Sundays when you can go out for a stroll, Yeah,
it's tricky, but there again, I think you decide what you want in your life, how your life's normally structured, and bear in mind, because of the illness and retiring because of the illness and what have you, I had that time. But you still structure yourself. Like in my case, I'd write every day, Monday to Thursday. I'd get up in the morning. My regimen would sort of be get up in the morning, have some breakfast, check my emails, a bit of social media or whatever. Then at 9 o'clock, I was writing.
Wow.
And I'd obviously have breaks because you can't just sit at the computer all the time, but short breaks. So 9 till 12, I'd write. Take a break for an hour or two, perhaps even have a walk. At 2 o'clock till 5, I'd write for those 4 days. Any other days were a bonus, but those 4 days I've made myself work.
Yeah.
Friday I usually worked as well, but Saturday and Sunday were sacrosanct for spending some time with, family,
Recharging the batteries, and
especially sport, whether it's watching my beloved Shrewsbury Town or whatever.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you got to do that. You can't just beaver away at it and expect great things. You got to be able to go out there and live life as well.
Sure.
How is the book doing? When was it actually first? When was it released? When was it?
Just the end of November.
The end of November.
Yeah, so it's been released just over a month, isn't it? Month 6 weeks.
And how's it doing? Is it doing okay?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it was never released as a commercial entity, as it were, as a project to earn money. It was always there just to get it out of the system. But it's a bug now. I have to write more and more and other things, But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it seems to be flowing along there. I think we're in the 3 figures as far as sales are concerned. So
that's good. I mean,
nice.
to have a few people listen to my podcast, or a few people who read your book, it feels good. You've made something that's brought joy to someone's life. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And what was it like researching the geography of places? Because I mean, I was reading the bits where you describe in Shrewsbury, and it made me smile. You talk about the bus station in Raven Meadows and the Shropshire Cricket Club. That's an acknowledgement, I guess, to your love of cricket. So that was must have been kind of easy for you.
Yeah, it was something I was more comfortable with because I've lived here a long time.
Yeah. When there's bits in the book where you go to Wales and things like that. Are they places that you remembered, or
some places like the places I've used in Wales, I've lived and worked there.
Yeah.
I used to run some agencies out on the Welsh coast.
Oh yes, of course.
So that was that. But most of the other places, all the other places in the book I've been to.
Yeah.
Not just once, probably more than that, because that was my job.
Fond memories.
So, and I was always quite good at chronicling. I always wrote a report to myself because it helped everybody else in the travel agents learn about the resort, so they could tell other people even if they haven't been.
Oh, right. Okay, that's brilliant.
So essentially, it was like a little prompt sheet all the time to remind me of what was there.
Oh, that's really, really good. Have you got any more? You say you want to write more. And you're doing your autobiography.
Well, I want to finish the autobiography because that's personal, and if it's only for the children, what have you. Although it's very much based on the travel and very anecdotal, and hopefully it'll be quite amusing. It isn't just about the beautiful mountains and the lovely ocean and one thing or another. There's things that happen there that will hopefully make people smile. Perhaps it will surprise some people, one of the two of the things that happened. But beyond that, I'm writing researching for a biography at the moment of a lady who was an SOE member, Special Operations Executive member.
Fantastic.
She worked in decryptology in Cairo.
Wow.
An area that a lot of people don't think of, but we had SOE unit there. I say unit, decryptography area there, because they had to deal with all our agents that were going into the Balkans. Yeah. So Greece and Albania and Yugoslavia had a lot to do with Tito, a lot to do with Crete, of course, which was a big problem for us at times. So that was quite, it is very interesting actually doing that. And it's a long story of how I came across that. I was researching for a second novel when I came across this lady. But that's quite interesting to do. I'm looking forward to that. I've actually written a children's book too.
Yeah, what was that?
I hope it's going to be the first of a series of them, and this is I've called them sort of Dennis and Roy stories, which essentially is based in the 1930s in a Welsh mountain village.
Wow!
And the first book is called A Christmas Miracle, and it's just been illustrated at the moment. So obviously the target time is going to be later in the year for Christmas this year. Oh,
brilliant. I'll definitely check that out. Read it to my little boy. I'm sure he'll like that. I guess it's also a part of the research is also part of the reward, finding these amazing stories, because I find that when I'm looking for things for the show and things, I'll start reading and I'll start reading more and I'll read more and then I'll get more and more into it, and you get kind of obsessed with kind of finding more little bits out. And your book is full of so many great little moments. There was the part in Singapore when they're all rushing towards the evacuation ship, and you talk about there's like bombs dropping and there's cars sinking in the water and there's panic, and I was just picturing myself. That reminded me actually of that movie Dunkirk.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's very much what it reminded me of, and that's brilliant. And then you talk about I don't want to spoil the book, guys, but there's just some amazing bits on there. I think, the POW camps especially really, God, the way you describe it is quite gut-wrenching, but in a good way. You did it.
Yeah, these people had no choice but to live the life they did and survive, or as many of their colleagues didn't survive, as it were. So they had a story to tell afterwards, much like the Holocaust survivors that you've mentioned before, you know. And I think it's important, although this is fiction, it's very much based on fact, and it's a story that actually happens that the Japanese invariably deny today, a bit like the Holocaust deniers.
Yeah, of course.
So that's part of the moral of the story, really, that check out what's in here because this really happened.
Yeah, don't believe the naysayers because, it's history. What advice would you give to any kind of aspiring writers? We were just talking about this before we started recording.
Yeah, I think the critical thing is don't think you can't do it.
Yeah.
I think we all lack confidence. We pick up the novels that we enjoy reading, whoever it might be, whoever your favourite novelist is, and think, oh, I couldn't write like that. Well, nobody's necessarily asking you to write like that. You've got your own identity. If you've got a story, start writing it. And the first thing to do, I think, is just write a framework of how you'd like the book to go.
Yeah.
What you think would be in it. Trust me, it'll change. But you start with that. And get writing, and if it's something where you've got to research, that's fine. If it's a personal story you think you can put down, you can probably just recall it like an autobiography from your mind and just sort of develop it. But the most critical thing is do write it, and go to a creative writing class if you think that'll help you, because there's some good ones around, even in Shrewsbury and Shropshire.
Oh, I imagine there's lots in Shrewsbury, because it's such a creative town. It's just this is what's amazed me about the show. It's just a bottomless pit of amazing creative people, whether it's people that own businesses or like Becky Riddick who paints, or you guys who write and you paint pictures with words. It's an amazing place to be for that.
There are some terrific artists around here. Our one daughter, Kerry, she runs an artist studio, as it were, and she's great artist. But now she's bringing it to children.
Yeah,
and so it's great what people do, around the county, not just in Shrewsbury itself, but around the county too. And it's great that also there's the Shrewsbury Literary Festival each year. That's 2-3 years down the track now.
Yeah.
I sadly have to say I've never been to it because it always conflicts with Hay Festival, which is a big literary festival. And I've been going to that. But who knows? Maybe this year I can get to the Shrewsbury one.
We're going to try and get to the literature. I think we just missed it when we first started. I don't know. Yeah, but I would like to go. Of course, I want to get involved with everything that's going on in Shrewsbury. We're going to be covering a lot of the Darwin Festival and as well the comic book festival that's coming to Shrewsbury soon as well. We're going to be getting involved with all sorts. So,
those will be fascinating, and it's great to be involved with them.
It is, and you know what I mean. People say they don't read books, but then they'll pick up a comic book and read. I mean, it's just the same. Your mind is still appreciating what it's seeing, and somebody's put hard work into drawing those pictures and writing those words and creating the stories. You got to appreciate people, and it's the same with the youth of today. Like they'll say, "Oh, I don't like reading. I don't read books," but yet they'll sit there scrolling on their phone and reading all these stories they see on Facebook.
Absolutely. We all use different mediums to both project ourselves, but also to enjoy ourselves with. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why we're all a bit different, aren't we?
Yes, we are. That's absolutely true. I've got to ask you as well about Dreamcatcher Kids. I just saw this. I've got the website here. I was looking at that. What is Dreamcatcher Kids?
It's a charitable fund that my wife Diane and myself started in 1995, and it came out the idea that Diane actually worked and still works in hospital with children on the paediatric ward, and I guess we saw a situation where children were obviously upset. They were in hospital and they were suffering some pretty tough diseases or conditions and what have you. And gradually this sort of seed that needed watering, germinated, and we got this idea of brightening children's lives and the children and the family, because it's the families that struggle with as well as the child when they're ill.
Yeah.
And initially we concentrated, and still do, on those that are chronically ill. So I've got a constant problem, whether it's cystic fibrosis or whatever, but also those that are terminally ill. The great news is, we're 23 years down the line, and a lot of those that used to be terminally ill and we might lose, we don't now. Things like the leukemia victims and victim is not right the word really, but those who are diagnosed with leukemia, a lot of them now live a normal life. I'll give you a great example, actually. Yeah. The very first person we ever not so much sponsored, but used funds we had in Dreamcatcher Children to brighten the life of. We sent to, we were rather ambitious actually. At the time we owned and ran a travel agents, and with that the company owned a property in Florida. Wow. So we decided we'd send this family with this young chap, only a young boy, to Florida to give them something to look forward to.
Fantastic.
So that's what we said we'd do, and then we were told the week before we're not sure whether he could go. He'd still got a line in. He got a feed, a nasal feed in, and so the doctor said, "Well, look, let's put it like this: we'll take it out and we'll see how you go." So he took this nasal feed out. He got on the plane to Orlando. Had a fantastic time. Within a week, he was eating a hamburger and having a great time with Disney and that. But the real great thing for that is 3-4 years ago, we got a letter from his family with a picture of him. He was now a Royal Marine.
Oh my God.
That is not every story goes like that, but that's a typical example.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'm speechless. That's amazing. You've done that for that guy.
Well, it's the joy of seeing their faces and the experiences of them and their families through photographs and videos and various things. And sometimes it's something very small, because we try and help as many as possible. We can't send everybody to Florida.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And we long since decided that we'll try and help more people rather than do lots of big things.
Yeah.
So we do anything from helicopter rides to theatre tickets to football tickets to football mascots at Shrewsbury.
What an amazing gesture to make. That's really, really amazing.
We love it, but the real reward for us is just the look on their face.
Do you raise a lot? Is it active? Do people donate?
We have quite a lot of regular supporters. That's a great thing. And people who raise money for us, on a dedicated basis. The Old Bell, for example, did an auction in Abbey Foregate, did an auction for us this last year and raised over £3,000 for us. That's a classic example. But lots of people regularly just give us £5.
I'll see if we can get you some more. I'm going to read your website out now. See if listeners of the show, if you've got a few quid spare, go to dreamcatcherchildren.com. Nice blue background there. You see some happy kids in a limo there as the main picture. And there's a donate button there. So if you go to dreamcatcherchildren.com, just chuck a couple of quid, see if you can make a few kids' days a bit better.
That's very kind of you.
No, it's an amazing thing that you do. You put the infrastructure in place. It's your idea, and let's see if we can help you help others.
The big thing of that we do every year, and it's sort of like our flag event, is we do the Dreamcatcher Santa specials on the Welsh Fulham Lambeth Railway.
Oh wow!
And we started doing that a good number of years ago now, and I think we took about 30 or 40 people, the children, their family members. This year it was 350.
That's amazing. That's so good. And I suppose with like the addition of social media, it's probably helped, hasn't it? I suppose
that has been the driver. Social media makes it so much easier to get to people and not only that, to actually report what a wonderful time they had and how they are, and everything sort of develops from there, doesn't it?
Are you still in touch with the Marine?
The family we hear from now and again. That's right. It's lovely, and others. I mean, obviously the sad stories too. Some don't quite make it, but to have been able to give them some sort of experience before they left us was great.
That's an amazing thing, and well done for you. That you guys are heroes just for that alone. I mean, I'm really happy that I got to sit and speak to you. I mean, I really do love this book. I'm going to carry on reading it. I hope it does really well, because it really deserves to. Guys, you can buy the physical copies. Where can you buy them?
Yeah, the physical copies I actually retain myself, so they can come direct to me on that. And if they want to contact me on my email address, I can sort of let them know that,
fantastic.
or through the Dreamcatcher Children page, actually, because we're trying to benefit them too.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. I mean, I bought this on the Kindle. It's easy for me to kind of carry to work and stuff like that. But yeah, you can get it on Amazon. Don't Bring Me Flowers. I want everybody to try and give it a read, because I think it deserves a good look, because it's a really good story. Have you got anything else that you want to plug? Have you got any, like, because we've got Dreamcatcher and you got the books? Is there anything else that you're involved with that you want to give a shout out, see if people show a bit of interest?
I think that's the problem. I mean, a lot of our time is taken up with Dreamcatcher. I have to say, because obviously it's a voluntary thing, but it takes a lot of doing.
Do you have a lot of people involved with that then? Do you?
It's just myself and Di, my wife, that operate that. But a lot of people sort of raise money for us, and regularly, as I say, donate. And very generously as well. I have to say. In fact, the very first people who helped us send that guy, the Marine, to Florida. The Marine as he is now, they still send us, 3 figures every year.
Fantastic.
And they live way away. They live in Luton, down in Bedfordshire.
Wow.
Pete and Kathy Ashby, and they're fantastic supporters. So we're lucky to have regular supporters like that.
That's that's why I love social media. You're saying that the injection of interests come from that. I mean, like, it's made. I'm trying to raise a little bit of money. I'm doing the opposite of what people do. I'm trying to grow my hair for charity. See, I'm kind of balding. Got like a bald spot here. So I'm growing my hair for a year, and then I'll donate it at the end of the year if anybody wants it.
Good man.
We raised about £110 so far. But, it's more to at least have done something.
Exactly, tried, And that's society, isn't it? As a community, we all should work together for the betterment of mankind.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. One thing I like to ask people before we end the show is, what does Shrewsbury mean to you?
I just love it. It's everything to me. I love walking in the quarry and feeling this place. I love going down to watch my local football team, Shrewsbury Town, who, since 1962, I've seen the ups and downs of watching that football club. And if they lose, even though they lost in the Checkatrade Trophy last night, it still upsets me. It's sad, I know, as my good lady says. But so football's a big thing there. But the town itself, I just love the people in it. I love the whole fabric of it, the buildings we've got. We are so lucky to live in a town like Shrewsbury.
I feel so lucky to live here. I mean, this is one of the things with this place is my wife has got family here, and I used to come here a lot, and I used to be like, let's move to Shrewsbury. It just never happened. We just kept saying it and saying it and saying it. And one year we were just like, right, we're doing it. We're doing it. And we did. We gathered up all our stuff and we moved here. So we're here to stay. Great. Guys, this is Ronald D. Morgan. He wrote the book, Don't Bring Me Flowers. I want everybody to try and check it out. Have a look at Dreamcatcher website. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been really, really nice just sitting talking to you. And I hope the book does really well.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Alex, and good luck with your charity fundraising too.
Yeah, I walk around, people like, your hair looks strange, and I'm like, yes, I know.
And for these top podcasts, I've enjoyed listening to some of the others and learning a lot about different people in our society. Much. Thank you.
It's a passion of mine. It's going to grow, and hopefully, people enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.